I get this question a lot, and a lot of lawyers do. So I'm gonna just cut to the chase, right? So people are interested in knowing, coming out of law school, what job could you get as a lawyer to make the big bucks or put you on a path to make the big bucks? And the safe general answer is big firm. Work at a big firm, right? Now, before I got into law school, I didn't understand big firm, small firm, mid-sized firm. I didn't understand all that, right? I knew lawyers, certain type of law, and things like that. Big firms are the firms that most of the time are international companies with over 200, 300, 400 lawyers, and they service a lot of companies all over the world, right? Coming out of law school, when I came out in 2011, I'll even back up. In 2008, when I got to law school, the recession happened. But at the time, right before the recession hit hard, the projection was that people coming out of law school in 2008, starting in their first year at big firms, were set to make 150 a year. That got scaled back to about 120, and it remained that for a few years. And then around 2012, 2013, it changed and started going back up, right? Where, let's say, on average, they're making 150. But even on the low end, it was 120, right? When I say 120, 120,000 a year, 150,000 a year, right? Now, granted, people who work at big firms, they have to work on what's called billable hours. Most of those firms operate on billable hours. There's so many hours you're supposed to bill per year, right? That's a way of them tracking you and rating your performance and efficiency, right? It's a lot of hours. And sometimes, some things you do, whether it be presentations for an organization that you're part of, or lunch meetings with partners about how you're doing in general, everything doesn't count towards billable hours, right? Only stuff, work related to actual clients that they have, counts towards billable hours. So the understanding is, if you go to a big firm, you're going to be busting your butt 7 a.m., 9 p.m., 7 a.m., 9 p.m., 6 days a week, right? A lot. You're going to be working a lot, right? But again, they're coming out the gate making, at that time, 120, 140, 150, 160, right? I'm not sure exactly what the rates are now. This was 7 years ago. I mean, this was almost 10 years ago when I first came out, right? Almost 10 years ago. So, now, everybody doesn't get selected to be a big firm. Usually, big firms start with the people from the best schools and what's called tier 1. And then they got tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. I went to a tier 4 school, Texas Southern University, Thurgood Marshall School of Law. And at the tier 4 schools, unfortunately, you're just not going to get the same amount of people out of a class who have the opportunity. So, for example, let's say somebody graduates from Stanford or Harvard. It doesn't matter what their ranking is. They just got to finish. And they'll have an opportunity to potentially work at a big firm. At a Thurgood Marshall, if 4 or 5 people out of a class of 200 work at a big firm, that's amazing, right? Because it's just a lot harder and more competitive for people who go to tier 4 schools. Now, there's people who made things happen and made things work due to their hard work and networking and things like that. But usually, it's the people in the top of the class, the people who are on law review, and things like that. People who had interned in big firms throughout the summer, right? But if you're a person who motivated by money and you're interested in being a lawyer and you want to know, okay, what's a guarantee route to have a really good living out the gate coming out of law school? Big firm. Big firm. But again, they're very competitive. So it depends on the school you went to. And if you didn't go to the best school, you got to be in the top 10, top 5% of your class, and more likely on law review, and still network your butt off. You got to be tight. You got to be tight. So if that's what you want to do, man, that's a path.